is a Marine, and he just got back from Afghanistan. I feel like I can finally, it's so good to see you. I feel like I can finally let my breath out. You know, you're holding your breath the whole time. Not fun at all, but he's back. Very good news. So ask me questions, because I'm such a scatterbrain. You know, I'll go anywhere with you, but I can't think of where to go other than to tell you the Buster news, because that's the big one. So who's got a question for me? Yes.
Oh no, it's already
What's it?
What was your first audition?
My first audition, I had just gotten into Princeton University, and I auditioned for as a dancer in a chorus in the Goodspeed Opera House. And I got the job and did that instead of Princeton. And I can't imagine what my parents were thinking at the time. But you know what? To their credit, they just were like, yep, okay, that's what you are. You're on your path. I saw a hand up just before. Did you have a hand up? No? No. Okay, you were just waving at somebody. Yes. You know, I work mostly with David, and he is the sharpest, funniest guy. And, you know, he's kind of like a New Yorker in that sense. I don't know if he actually is, but he's sharp and fast, and the two of us could go at it together. And I loved my time there. Portland, Oregon has this, if you've ever been there, it has this kind of storybook feel to it, because it's so beautiful and the people are so blissed out that you go, I'm in a fairy tale. So it's very appropriate that they're filming up there. And it was great. It was the first time that I've had the dots put on me so that they could make me a bee. That was fascinating. That was fascinating how they do that, and then they bring the big silver balls in. I'm not sure why they do that, but that makes it all possible for them to turn me into a bee. And motion capture, that's right, thank you very much. But why the big silver ball? Don't tell me. It's probably more than I can understand. But it was a great experience, as was Torchwood, you know, John Barrowman. Oh my God. I was thinking about John today, and I thought, if I had, you know how they say, who would you have to a dinner party, you know, alive or dead? John Barrowman would definitely be one of the guests, except I'd probably have to write apologies to all the other guests. I'm so sorry for what he did, really, I'm so sorry. He is out of control, yes.
What was the craziest thing you did on set?
I can't tell you. Seriously, he's out of control. He's crazy. He is crazy, and he's got the best heart that I've...
So he's what you see on the screen.
Oh, yeah. Plus 10. He is what you see on the screen. I have to tell you, there's and this told me exactly who he was. You know, when you're a guest on a show, as JG said, you can tell who people are by the way you're treated. A lot of stars will just, you know, they're so tired and they're so used to guests coming in. It's just like, okay, next. They don't want to get to know you. They know you're a transient. But John, in my last, there's a tradition. Your last shot in the show that finishes the job for you, the AD will say, and ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Now Visitor, thank you and good night. And that's just one of those traditions that they have. Well, this AD was so crazed, he didn't say it. And so he just said, and that's good night to the Now Visitor. So I just crept out. It's like, no big deal. I don't need, everybody to say bye-bye, whatever. It's fine. I just started to leave. And I was halfway to my trailer when John Barrowman comes bounding out. He's still in his coat, and he's bounding out, and he grabs me and he says, oh no, that's not okay. You have to come back for a proper goodbye. And I said, John, it's fine. It's a long day for everybody. I'm okay. And he grabbed me and he literally dragged me back to set and said, no, we're doing what's right. And you are going to get a proper goodbye. And he just kind of pushed me in front of everybody and said, ladies and gentlemen, that is goodbye and good night to the non-visitor. And they did the usual applause and good nights and everything. And that told me everything I needed to know about him. He's very thoughtful, and Eve Miles. The two of them together are like a vaudeville act. Really, they never stop. They have boundless energy. I mean, usually people just kind of, they're relaxing in between takes and stuff. The two of them are doing a vaudeville act together, literally. It's really, really funny. They're both very sweet people. Yes?
How many places have you shot on?
How many places have I shot on?
Meaning, have you done that on? Like, how many places have you been to shooting?
I don't know. A friend of mine today, I said, I've never been to Brooklyn. And she said, yes, you have. You did a movie in 1975 that was shot. And I said, damn, you're good. That's right. I've shot a movie in Brooklyn. So it's so many that I don't even.
What's your favorite?
My favorite place to shoot is, it's going to be so corny, the set of Deep Space Nine, the Promenade. I spent so many hours, 2, 3, 4 in the morning, sitting on the promenade on the ground, looking around, going, wow, this is my tribe. These are my people. And they all have, like you have the fishermen and the, everyone who has a job in a tribe. It's exactly the way we work, Everyone did their job and we all cooperated together. I love those people very much. It's hard to not be with them anymore. Look at her. She's so good. She's just writing away. It's amazing. It's all you want in a child. Yes?
What's I would say your most favorite memory of shooting DS9?
Well, not my favorite memory, but the last day, it was the last day, well, I cried for the last 2 weeks of Deep Space Nine. I was not ready to say goodbye. Not at all. I was emotionally still attached to the show. And the last day of shooting, we had Bobby Darin singing to us, and it was that day. And James Darin, what did I say? Oh, he'd kill me. See, this is what happens when it's 10 at night. It's too late for me. She and I should be in bed already. Do not say anything, please. Anyway, he was singing, and when he said the way you crinkle your nose, and I was weeping, and this is verboten for actors. The camera was on him. I was just there for support, off camera. I couldn't stop crying. I could not stop crying to the point where he's singing and he's going, oh no. He's feeling bad for me, and we had to do take after take after take. And I remember that moment so clearly because of that. But I also remember one time we were at Ops. And you know what those, if you watch the show, you know what those scenes were like. We were in a V. Cisco was at the top of the V. We were talking to a Cardassian of some kind. It could have been Gul Dukat. I don't remember. but we were under attack. And, you know, it was not that complicated. When we were under attack, we had someone saying, okay, hit, hit. And every time it was supposed to be hit, we'd go like this, all in the same direction. And then go like this so it looked like the station was in trouble. Hit! You know, and then they just take the sound of the hit out, and it looks like we're all doing the same thing. I think it was Call Meany who said, all right, and we'd been filming it for a while, and it was early on in the show, so we did take after take after take of the same thing, and it was late at night. And I think it was Colm, don't hold me to that, but I think it was, who said, okay, next time, tell Avery we're not doing that. So, tell Avery we're still doing it, no one else do it. So poor Avery, we're all behind him, and he's doing this madly during this really serious scene all by himself, and we're all looking at him like... If Majel had allowed bloopers, there would have been fabulous bloopers from that show. There would have been great bloopers, and that would have been one of them. But unfortunately, no, we didn't. You don't have it. Yes?
What was your favorite scene on Torchwood?
Oh, well, again, favorite or memorable? Memorable for me was the line that I had to say, consider the jellyfish. Because John Barrowman was opposite me, and I just start talking and I go on and on and on about the jellyfish. And it felt like such, after a few takes, it felt like such a silly thing to be saying, consider the jellyfish, that we both started breaking up and we couldn't get through it, and we couldn't get through it. And then I couldn't remember it after we'd been laughing about it for a while. So I always think of Torchwood, consider the jellyfish. That's my shorthand for the whole thing.
First thing I want to say is, welcome to Icon.
Thank you.
I heard James Darren tell me that story on you.
You have. You've heard James say that.
Yes.
Did he call me Nancy? I hope he did.
I've heard his side of it. That was just broke my heart. The other thing is, where did you get your inspiration to play that cancer lady at Battlestar?
Oh,
That was
Battlestar Galactica.
so real to me.
Yeah, good. I'm glad it was.
Oh, just phenomenal.
Yeah, I believe in if you're playing someone who's hungry or in pain or desperate, don't make it pretty. Don't make it polite. It's not. It's ugly and it's desperate. And that's always been my philosophy.
It's just, I believe you.
Now, I'm glad you believe me. Because that's exactly what it needed to be, I thought. I thought you needed to believe she was dying of cancer. So, you know, it's not pretty. And I sure wasn't.
It was more than a look. I was, you know, I can't even describe what it did. It was just, I was ready to.
Thank you. Thank you. And from someone who I've seen from the beginning, I think you were at conventions during the dinosaur period, as was I. So it's amazing to hear that from you.
I'm older than I am.
Yeah. Me too. Yes.
I've heard you a lot on doing voice acting for Family Guy and the set of McFarlane shows. How did you get involved in that, and what do you think of that whole setup that you have going on?
First of all, Seth MacFarlane. First of all, he could be right in here with all of us. That's who he is. Second of all, he is one of the most brilliant actors I have ever seen. I don't know what I expected when I went in to work with him, but I did not expect, nor did I know, that he did all the voices. And then once I realized he did all the voices, I thought, okay, so, you know, he's just going to read them through and then I do my stuff, and he'll read them through so that I, maybe act it out. No, he went from character to character to character, completely in character. Lightning speed. It was I just wanted to watch him. I have never seen anything like that. He's got a gift that's weird. It's so good. And I love working with him, and we had fun together, and he just kept calling me. So it's been great. It's been great, and now I'm doing other things because of it. It's fun. It's a fun world.
Don't stop.
Thank you. I'll keep doing it. Yes.
What about Dark Angel? Playing as such a villain, an actor or wrestler, whatever you call her.
I loved Madam X on Dark Angel because she was supposed to be a man. It wasn't even supposed to be a female. And so she was just, it didn't matter what she was. It was her intent that was so strong. And there's nothing like playing someone with really strong intent. And the fact is, what James Cameron told me in the meeting when I first got the job was that she was hundreds of years old. And she had been using the DNA of the children to keep herself young, and that she wanted to be able to sell this product to the world. And that's why she pursued the kids the way she did. And that's why she was so single-minded. She believed she had a good reason to do what she did, which was brilliant. But no one ever got to know that. I was just a bad guy. But she was awful,
Was there anything pushed you for that, yourself?
Toward acting,
Yeah.
I was an oddball in school. I went to a school that was all very la-di-da, white glove school, and my parents were in the theater. And so I was treated marginally because theater people were very low on their particular totem pole. So I felt like an outsider all the time I was there, although I loved the school. And then when I was 14, we did a stage play. We did Bye Bye Birdie. And all of a sudden, everything was different for me. I played one of the roles, and I was suddenly accepted by a whole school. It's like it's like I was, one of those games with the holes in the little ball, and I'm just rolling around and not finding my space, and finally, I found the right place. And it was all easy after that. As a matter of fact, interestingly enough, I had been a D student. I was not a good student. After I did the stage show and I found my place, I went up to being an A student, got into Princeton, blah, 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 all this stuff. I just needed to know where I belonged. So that's what made me be an actor.
Who did you play?
I played the Cheetah Rivera role.
Rosie.
Rosie. Yeah, that's of course. Everything is rosy. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, I remember that. Yes.
Probably told us already, but how did you get the role of Deep Space Nine? How did you audition? How was all that?
I got the job for Deep Space Nine very, very quickly. First of all, I didn't realize the character. When I got the script, I didn't realize the character was irregular. I didn't even care. The way it read on the page was so strong, and I related to so quickly. I went to Macy's and I got Doc Marten boots and this shapeless green, khaki green shift, and I put on a leather jacket, and I went in and did the audition for the producers. And there was no politeness, there was no, yes, oh yes, I've been in California for this long, and I'm so glad to see you all, and would you like me to read? Is there anything you want to tell me about the role? Which is some of the stuff that usually goes on. I just started my dialogue. I stalked into the room, started my dialogue, forced them into it. I didn't want to do anything else. That's not what she was about. And I was Kira from that moment on. And I just, there was something in me that insisted that was me.
You said the tone of the strength of character.
And that was it. And I went in and did it for Paramount, and I was cast. And then turned the job down, because my manager at the time said, you do science fiction and you're finished. And let's get you a good, let's get you a... I've seen you before, haven't I? Haven't I seen you before? No? In the green shirt? Yes. Yeah, I remember your face. I don't have very good eyesight, but I spot a feeling about someone. I remember the feeling, maybe not anything else. What was I saying? Couldn't have been that important. It was my role. It was just my role.
Did you turn it down?
Yeah, I turned it down. My manager said thank you. My manager said it's going to kill your career. And I thought about it and thought about it and thought about it, and I thought, it's worth it. I'll take the chance. And it's been the most, come on. What other job could I possibly have gotten where we're doing this? Which is a part of it that I absolutely love. I love it because we were collaborators at the time. When I was on stage, and I'm sure every actor has told you this, I was very, very aware that we had to push the writers to be true to everything, had to remind them of this and that, because you guys were watching. Because you guys would go, oh no, oh wait a minute, no. In scene, 75 of episode 2, this, you do that stuff, and you're right. So I was very aware, and you were collaborators during the whole thing. So it's a weird relationship we have, a weird and crazy relationship. Yes?
Speaking of that, I read somewhere that when they first decided that your character would get together with Odo's character, you felt that it should have been?
Yeah, I did not see Kira as someone who would, under any circumstances, get together with Gul Dukat. And he was, the actor playing Gul Dukat, Mark Alaimo, was always very, I don't know why, but he really wanted to see that relationship happen. Whenever we had a scene together, he would manipulate it so that we were, with the star field behind us and really working it, and it was like, Mark, no, not happening. Your Cardassian, the atrocities you've committed, forget it, it's not happening. But I also felt that way about Odo. I kind of, I love the fact that we were friends, and deep, deep friends. And at the time on TV, there weren't many relationships like that between men and women. They always became romantic. It always became the thing, oh, when are they getting together? So I really kind of wanted to keep that a friendship. But in the end, I loved what transpired and the love that we had for each other. And I also loved that she understood that he would go back to the goo. Because I thought, of course. It's just what he would have done, and that's what she would have respected, I believe. What else? What else? There wasn't a role I auditioned for that I didn't get, but there was a role that I begged to audition for, and it was Janeway. And I campaigned, and I campaigned, and I campaigned, and he said, look, you have a job. The producer was like, why do you want another job? And I was like, oh, but this role, I know what to do with it. And he said, but we can't lose you on Deep Space Nine. And I said, I can do both. I was insane. I I don't know what I was thinking because I was barely able to keep awake for what I was doing. I had an infant son and I was working 16-hour days. I was out of my mind. But yeah, no, he kept me from losing my mind and said, absolutely not. You're not auditioning for Janeway.
Probably why you said it, was because you were so tired.
And that could absolutely be. I was out of my mind at the time. It's amazing what exhaustion will do. You really don't. Here's one thing. We, on a terrible serious note, we lost a crew member on Deep Space Nine, and it actually rewrote the rules for the industry because we'd had I think an 18, 19, 20-hour day, and a crew member went home and fell asleep at the wheel and was killed. And I, too, fell asleep at the wheel. And this is the thing, I always thought, oh, come on, pull over. If you know that you're gonna drop, just pull over. And it's not like that. You pass out. You don't fall asleep, you black out. So that's what happened to him. Yes, yeah. And that was a serious rule. That was something we really didn't ever recover from because, you know, he was a member of our tribe too. Yeah. What do you want to see, a soft shoe? No. Yes.
First, I want to say that of the new Star Trek post-original series, I think Deep Space Nine was the best.
Oh, yeah.
It had the most drama, the most character development. The next generation was good, but it was all pretty much the same from start to finish. Deep Space Nine was a real story there. I really appreciate it. So my question is, how are you planning to dress as the intendant at the masquerade party?
Tell you that intendant costume was so unbelievably uncomfortable and horrible, and I had to have 2 people help me out of it so that I could go to the bathroom. But what? Oh yeah. It was worse than what they wore in the 1920s, or no, actually 1940s in movies, you know, in terms of restriction. It was just awful. Plus that thing on my head, the silver thing, when I got kissed, and she seemed to always be getting kissed by someone, it was like wood. It was like it was carved from wood. It wasn't soft like it looked. So that if someone put their hand on the back of my head, it would go whoop. And anything like that is so annoying because you have to reshoot it. You could have been feeling it as much as you want. We're reshooting. Plus, the material, it was rubber. I was in a rubber suit. So every time I moved, it was like, oh, really? Well, I don't know. You heard it every time, so I had to loop all my dialogue over the film. It was all useless. Yep, yes.
Just playing off the intendant, you played a lot of different characters. I mean, obviously you were Kira throughout the whole show, but you were a Russian spy at one point, and then you were the newspaper reporter.
Yes.
What was, the sci-fi writer for when you did that, what was it, 1920s episode?
40s, wasn't it?
1940s episode. What was it like? You obviously had to change your approach, your relationship with, you know, with Cisco, with everybody, and especially with Garrett, because when the attendant and Garrett had a very different relationship from Kira and Garrett. So what was it like just sort of going to work one day and, you know, saying, well, I have to feel this way towards the character, and then going to work the next day and saying, well, I have to feel this way towards the character?
It's a very interesting thing in acting. If you feel what it feels like to be over here, let's say to be very good, to be a very good person, it's really easy to do the exact opposite, to feel very bad, to be a bad person. So the intendant was easy. The only thing that I had to watch myself for is that she became ridiculous, you know, over the top. And sometimes, hey, I I slipped over that. I know I did. I don't know how I became, you know, the slave person. That all got more and more into it, you know, and I didn't intend that, but certainly my performance encouraged it. So I just watched how far I was going, but in reality, it was fun. It was really fun, doing all of those things and getting to play. Listen, the show was like a big Disneyland for actors. I got to go on every great ride there was, you know? There's no matching it. So when I look back at that manager, I go, boy, did I make the right choice. Because you can't hope to have that kind of opportunity again.
I always look at Star Trek as something like bigger than any one part or a series. Like it's a bigger universe than that. And I was wondering what it's like for you to be a part of something that's much bigger than yourself. You know, that existed before you and that will ultimately probably exist after you.
Well, I'm a big, could you hear the question? What does it feel like to be a part of something that's bigger than yourself, something that existed before you and will exist after you? And I'm a huge Joseph Campbell fan. I believe in mythology, not believe in mythology. I follow mythology. I try to find it in my characters. I believe in storytelling and archetypes. And that made me feel like I found my point in life. You know, I'm a storyteller. This is what I do. Not all the silly razzmatazz. I'm a storyteller. So it gave me dignity, I'd say, to be a part of that. And also just this odd, wonderful benefit of this interaction. I can't tell you how unusual it is for actors. It really, I know there are more than used to exist, more situations like this, but still, this Star Trek thing, this science fiction thing is special to a certain degree. And there was something you said about, oh yes, Deep Space Nine being different from the other shows. I was just reading a book on philosophy. Jeff, who is taking care of me today, gave me a book on philosophy and Star Trek. And they talked about the fact that because the Prime Directive was fudged on Deep Space Nine, it had to be because of all the different species coming in and out. We couldn't solve problems, or we couldn't leave people with their problems. In the original series, they came in, saw people with their problems, and had to leave without interfering. We couldn't leave. We couldn't leave. So that created all kinds of, I say we, but they couldn't leave. I was a Bajoran, although I always wanted to be Starfleet. At the end, they let me wear the costume. Those things, yeah, but then I lost it. Yeah. I got promoted. It's still not meaningful to me. I wanted to start, I know. Renee would always say to me, no, you know this isn't really real, right? The promotion was exciting for me. Whenever I got to sit in the captain's chair, it was like, yes. Renee was always kind of perplexed by my lack of grounding in that field, yes.
So then did you really miss a chance out when you did contract with the Tribbles to go back to the 2030 and wear those skirts?
I was so mad. I was so mad I missed the Tribbles. I was actually in labor for a couple of weeks. I was in long labor, and that's why they took me out of the show. I just had to do some polite thing from the station, and I was hormonal and angry, and I was stalking around like a panther who was caught. But then, of course, I gave birth during the show, so they were right, I guess, to keep me out. I couldn't. It's such an iconic show, and I missed it. Now you stop it right now. Oh, that was hard. That was hard to stay home for. But you know what? I was out for 2 weeks, and then I came back to work. Django in hand. Yes.
DS9 was very different from the other Star Trek shows in that it had a large regular cast and then a large recurring cast, and then you had a lot of, episodes with the guest stars, and a lot of notable people. From each of those categories, who were the most interesting people you had to work with?
Oh my goodness. There were so many, but I'll tell you the actors that I was like, yes, I'm working with them, were Renee and Avery. Their commitment was beyond. There was never a day where they came in where they didn't know the words. Or, they were beyond the words. They were to, what is this saying in our mythology, and what does it mean to us as humans? What we're saying about the Cardassians and the Bajorans right now. And that stuff just so excited me. That's when it was at its best, playing those scenes. Because no one was in control and anything could happen. And that was great. And some of the things you saw in those scenes weren't supposed to be there, but they happened during filming. So it was pretty great. And there are a million guests that I'd say, oh my God. I mean, all of them. They were all amazing, I have to say. And not an easy show to come in and guest on. We had a whole lexicon, a whole history. How many times can you have a regular character tell you, no, you see, no, you would never do that because it's got to be annoying. But we all stepped up to be annoying.
One of my favorite parts, was just the way they brought the Klingon culture, really just explored it and brought it out there. I think what made the show so different was that they really, went the extra mile and, gave you an insight to the Klingons that no one had given us.
To all of them, to the Cardassians too. I look at the show Duet, and I go, wow, no one was right and no one was wrong. That kind of gray area is what the show, the writers did so well. Nothing was wrapped up in 50 minutes. And we had amazing sets. When you walked on the set, we took up an entire 3, what do you call those big? Sound stages. Yeah. And when you walked in this, you opened the door to the sound stage and you were in the promenade and everything was full size. It was like going to Disney World as opposed to Disneyland. It was all finished in the back. There were no weird edges. It was real. And that's why I remember being on the promenade, 4 in the morning, because I'd be looking at the starscape and kind of lose it just a little bit and feel like I was on a space station, Exhaustion and my weird mentality of really believing what I'm doing. Did you have a question?
I don't know if you'll remember this. Me and my family, we watched Star Wars on Star Trek.
No, that's not bad. I rewatched that too.
You can't really watch Star Wars that many times. We watched Star Trek, and I was watching an episode where you had a scene with the actor who played Odo's doctor/father figure who raised him when he was a slime or whatever. And the next morning I woke up, I turned on cable, and there was a Columbo, I think it was Columbo, and there you were in Columbo, and you were playing 2 roles of someone who was a bipolar, and you had a doctor husband, and your doctor husband was the same guy. He was the same guy. And then you killed him, and then you blamed it on your bipolar opposite.
That was the Andy Griffith show.
Yes.
That's yeah.
Oh, it was Matlock.
And it was Matlock. And I remember that but I remember not the actor the first time or the second time, which is just horrendous.
I apologize, I don't know his name, I'm sorry.
No, you apologize. What about me? James Darren. I'm just not doing one here. I can't remember anybody anymore. The amount of actors I've worked with at this point, I go, oh my God, I'm lucky if I remember any of them, truly. But that's weird.
And I'll tell you something, and this isn't related to Deep Space Nine. One of the gentlemen on that show was also an actor who played Worf's father on Star Trek Next Generation. He was in that same episode.
There's a small world. There's a very, very small world. Wild. Yes.
How come there was never a Deep Space Nine?
No Deep Space Nine movie. That was like, we were told that there would not be. So I don't know. It happened way higher up, way even before we were started, that there was not going to be a movie of us. I don't know why. But, you know, the only thing I'm glad about is that they didn't do it on a lesser level, like, you know, DS9, Merry Christmas, explanation, you know, some kind of horrible special. I'm glad it was left as it was. Although, if they called me today and said, you're running the station and we're going to start again, I'm there. I am there.
You ever think of I was like working with Majel?
Majel, oh my God. Majel taught me to drink champagne out of a brandy snifter. And she and I went on the town once. We went to, I remember, Matsuhisa and ordered all this unbelievable food and talked. And she was so delightful. She was such a grande dame. And I felt like I was just learning at the feet of a master. Yeah, she was great. I don't drink champagne out of I found that was way too much for me, so I don't do that anymore. But the rest of the stuff I do in a second. Matsuhisa, oh my God. But I'm crazy about food, so that was great. Yes?
I always think this when I watch Star Trek. Is it weird to kiss somebody who's wearing lots of prosthetics?
Is it weird to kiss someone wearing lots of prosthetics? There was so much rubber between Renee and myself. It was very safe. But there was a horrible popping sound as we came apart that they had to take out. It was like, oh no, when we kissed, the first kiss on the promenade, and I remember seeing his face go. So that part is not fun. I mean, if it was like a Klingon, I never kissed a Klingon, but I can imagine that would be okay because it's mostly up here. But Renee was full on rubber. He had to drink out of a straw, I'm sure you know that. He couldn't eat very much. He was really, really limited. And after 14 hours, you wanted to stay away from him. He got a little grumpy, and understandably so. I couldn't do it. They put me in a Cardassian thing. Okay, so I got to work at 1 in the morning, and they put that makeup on me till 7 a.m. because the female Cardassian is more complicated. And then I proceeded to work a full day with everybody else. And by the end of it, I was saying, okay, that's it. That was the last take. That was it. And the director was going, no, it's not enough. We're going on. We're not finished. I was pulling it off me. I had such claustrophobia. It was awful. So the next week, they decided to make me a Ferengi. And just for one scene, just a quick shot of me. I'm someone's fantasy, I think, in the hollow suite, and then you go up and it's a Ferengi, which is horrendous. It wasn't me because I couldn't get the head on. I couldn't do it. You know, it's like a hat, it's like a helmet that you put on. And there's something interesting that happens. Your breath comes back at you at your nose, so you feel like you're never getting fresh air. Oh, it was awful. I could never do it. Yes?
I know how Armin Sherman has about.
Armin, I would say it all the time, my hat's off to you guys. And Armin's weird, even in his pictures as Quark. He's like Cary Grant. He's giving it to you. Yeah. And he was always like that. He never lost it. He was always the sweetest, kindest man. He's like some kind of weird saint, I have to say. Yeah, no, not when you actually see the big head. It's not. Yes.
Which actor did you dread working with? Because there are certain actors that like go out of their way to make you laugh.
To make you laugh?
Yeah. Try and make you laugh.
Oh, Riker. He was terrible. I couldn't keep a straight face the entire time he was there. I'm amazed we managed to kiss and I didn't explode in his mouth. Walk away. And they went, yeah. And I was like, what? Okay. If it's not, no, we'll get it for you. They arrived at midnight at my trailer with the thing covered, said, where's your car? I was starting to get nervous, but now I was like, no, I'm committed to having this fish. I'm not sure why it's a bad thing, but so they drove their little thing right to my car, put it in, slammed it, drove off, and I went up to them later and said, okay, what's the problem? He said, well, we were told, everyone was told, I didn't get the message, that no one is to take anything from set. Nothing. I guess they were worried about us selling it or something like that. Of course, I can't imagine doing that. So I just wanted it because I stared at it all those years. So I've got that bony fish. Although Rick Berman really mustn't know that I have it. Thank you. I don't know. This is Star Trek. It's all weird. I'm not sure the statute of limitations is gone. Yes. Yes, Sid Charisse is my aunt. Was my aunt. Yeah. Oh my God. She had the most beautiful legs, but also, in terms of dancing, the most beautiful arms. She was flawless as a dancer. She was amazing. Yeah, my grandmother was a dancer, taught her 11 children to dance. They were in vaudeville. It's this whole long, strange story. So it was kind of inevitable. The person who asked me before, how did I get into stage work? It was inevitable, but I think everyone kind of hoped that I'd go another direction, but no, I stayed true to it, yes.
Which do you prefer, television or stage?
Stage, okay. I love the quickness of TV, and I love the power of it. But there's a different power on stage. And this is the image that I have, so I'll give you the image that I have. I feel like I'm a big cat, and I feel in TV that I'm a big cat behind bars. And when I'm on stage, I'm on the savannah. And I really can't be touched. And that's just the fact that on TV and films even, you don't do more than 3 minutes before they stop you and do it again or do it this way. Once you start a Broadway show or play, it's yours. They cannot stop you. I love that thought. There's nothing that they can yell at you later, but for that time, that's your savannah. And I love that as an actor. You had a question.
What was your major going to be at Princeton?
Acting. I mean, that's what they wanted me for, because of all the stuff I'd done in school. So that was, for them, why I was interesting.
Yeah, one of the things of DS9 that fascinated me that was a little different from other Star Trek was the Bajoran faith. The idea of your belief in it as a character, very devout, in spite of the other characters separating. How did you feel about their handling that aspect? How much did you have input into that as well?
I didn't have much input into it at all, except they said, how do you want your hands when you pray? And that was all I brought to it. It was all very much in the Bible before I arrived. But I loved the complexity. I loved that she was so imperfect of a being. And she had faith, and yet she was vengeful. It was, very, very truthful.
Who's like work with Louise Fletcher? That's a very strong character in opposing you and
I'll tell you what Louise is like. Louise is the exact opposite of what you see. She giggles and laughs and is so sweet, and sent me lavender from her farm in France, and I can't say enough about her. She's extraordinary, and as an actor even more so, because that's not who she is at all. Not at all. It's odd, but I loved her. Yes.
Is there any development story when you're Bajoran in an audience and you're on for these? Where did that come from?
That was already established, that Bajorans applaud like this. That was already established. I just had to learn it. Yeah. I don't know who did that. Yes.
Since we've been talking so much about kissing tonight, what was it like to kiss Dax?
Kissing Dax.
which text was that about?
Well, Nicole.
Oh, you're coming on louder than the other one.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, mainly, she and I tried to get to the set when our scene came up, that scene. We had to push our way onto the set. There were men from other shows. I promise you, I am not exaggerating. Nicole will tell you. We had to push our way. It's like, what's going on? What's going on? And then we realized, we're going on. That's why they're all here. So we did the scene with a huge audience, just an enormous audience. And that just made it all the more silly. Yeah, what are you gonna do? Yes?
Before you went on tour, how much knowledge have you had of the series or the show before you approached it?
Only that Siddig had done Dr. No and said, well, you've got to do it because at some point Django's going to want to see it. So it was like, oh, this is connected to Dr. No? Okay, I want to do it. Dr. Who? This is really awful. Did I get, it's 3. Yeah, did I get Siddig's name right? Oh my God, yes. That one. Yeah. So,
What do you call himself these days?
Alexander Siddig. He is stuck with that.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was all I knew. So I didn't know anything about John Barrowman. And really, they should give you a packet before you work with him. Really? Yeah. A drum roll, did you say? Yeah, he has his own rules, but he deserves a drum roll as well when he arrives. He is insane, and he must do these circuits, and he must be a joy at them, I can imagine. Oh, he does West End, so he doesn't do these things? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, huge. He's a riot. He's got to be insane. Well, he'll come around. He'll come and do these things sometime. Come and see him, but don't bring your children. I'm serious. Yes.
I wonder if you could just reflect a little bit on your Battlestar Galactica appearance. That was a really powerful role.
Mary is one of my favorite people I've ever worked with. That's one favorite I've worked with. She's everything you want in an actor. She was right there, involved in the scene, wanting it to be as good as it can be, and without ego at all. She was right there. And it made it such a joy, such a joy. We just talked about our kids off set, you know, and on set we were who we were meant to be in the show. And I can see it. I just recently saw that show. I didn't want to see it for many years.
It's hard to watch, like,
Yeah.
from my perspective.
Yeah.
Being you.
I didn't want to see it. But when I finally did, I went, yeah, I see the strength of us together. I always said I'd love to do a series with her. Maybe someday it'll happen. How am I doing on time? I've got 5 minutes? That means that I do these things a lot. I gave myself a 5-minute warning. That's incredible. That's pretty cool. I know how to time myself. Did I see a hand back there, or was that telling me I have 5?
Yeah, it's
Telling me I have 5. I knew that. Yes?
That episode, was it nominated for anything?
Which episode?
Oh, fast.
I don't think so. I don't think it was nominated for anything. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's nice to have that film. I like having that with Mary. Thank you. We didn't have many troublemakers. We were all such serious actors. We were. We weren't much fun. I'd say probably Colm Meaney and Siddig, when they got together, they got very British together. You know, that energy, they'd get a little crazed. But I tried to do practical jokes and everything, and they just kind of fell flat. Everyone was like, well, why did you do that? You know, it wasn't like the next generation at all. Not at all. Yes?
Other Star Trek actors have either written about their experiences on Star Trek or have written novels themselves. Have you, or would you consider doing the same thing?
You know what? I write about what I think I need to share, and I stopped doing that even when Buster went to Afghanistan. But I have blogged about food for a couple of years, which is my other huge passion, and you know, and what I devote a lot of time to. So that's what I write about. I feel like if I didn't have this, maybe I'd want to talk about it, but you got it. The people who need to know, you guys get it. And I don't need to tell anyone else, really. And I do go all over the place to talk to you guys, so I hit y'all.
You have one more episode with DS9. Is there any story or character you'd want to focus on or work with again?
I would like to become a member of the Federation. With great pomp and circumstance. I wouldn't mind that at all. I think that's what I'd want. Yes?
Any of your children shown an interest in acting or dancing as a career?
No, just the opposite. I have one that's a Marine, one that is interested in building hotels. But he's 15, so we'll see where that goes. But yeah, no, they have not shown. Don't forget, when Django was 2-3 years old, someone asked him, where were you born? And he said, Star Trek, Los Angeles. Which was actually the truth. You know, he was born 2 weeks old. He was there every day with me. He saw all the monsters. He learned to not be scared of any, you know, of the really freaky people. Buster, the only one that scared him was Siddig. He talked to all the, you know, Cardassians. He loved the Cardassians, would chat with them. But Siddig in a big black coat, for some reason, Siddig went, Buster! And came swooping down when Buster was about 2. And that freaked him out. Yeah. But, yeah, I think they've had enough of it, actually. And no, it was, I mean, just think of an evolution of certain relationships you've had where you go, you know, you go into dark places and then you might regain trust or you don't. And that's what it felt like with Renee. It felt like it was a real evolutionary process of these 2 characters. Yes?
I just have one thought. I know it's going to wrap up soon, but if you get a chance, can you just thank your son for his service?
Thank you so much, and I definitely will thank you. I appreciate that. And I know you will. I know you will. Thank you. That's a good note to stop on. Thank you so much.